I'm Robert White. I'm a native Washingtonian. I'm a husband, a father, and an at-large council member. I'm excited to be running for mayor of my hometown because we need a mayor who's going to actually solve problems, who's going to be somebody who listens to the community, is in touch with the community, in touch with the problems that everyday people have. What I've done in my career is really work hard to solve problems. I've worked in government for 15 years. I understand what we can do, but I also look at the struggles in my family, and I know that it's urgent that we address issues people are facing, like public safety, improving education, and making sure people can actually afford to live in our city. I'm running because I see the potential in our city. We have more money than we have ever had as a city. People want us to take risks, to try new things, but really want us to solve problems. And right now is a unique moment in time where we have the money to solve problems. People want us to lean in, but we need a mayor who's going to do it. So I see the next phase for our city. I want to pull us to that next level. It is so important that people vote in June by June 21st because most people in DC are Democrats. That means that the primary election in June is really the election that is going to decide who the next mayor of our city is. So we're going to select a mayor who's going to keep the status quo, or we're going to select a mayor who's going to pull us to the next level. It is so important that everybody votes on June 21st or before then. I'm a dad, and my wife and I this week have had to have the kind of conversations that a lot of parents are having. I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old daughter. We have to talk about how we explain to our 6-year-old daughter lockdown drills at school in case there's an active shooter like we've seen in Texas. That's not something that parents should have to be thinking about, but that's certainly not something that 6-year-old kids should be preparing for. As mayor, I'm going to make sure that our schools are safe and prepared, even for emergency situations, to make sure that our government responds quickly, responds well, and responds thoroughly. But I'm also going to use the seat of mayor to work with mayors across our country to stand up to the National Rifle Association. There is no reason that people should be walking around our country with assault weapons. There's no reason why people with mental health issues or teenagers should be getting access to guns. We have to stop the manufacturers. We have to stop the flow of guns into our cities. I grew up in DC during the 80s and 90s when we had record levels of homicides and record levels of crime in our city. And I'm seeing us go back to that same place. Our violent crime and homicides have gone up every year for the past 5 years. Despite that, our current mayor still has no plan on public safety. I have a comprehensive public safety plan that I'm ready to implement on day one. I'm going to make sure that our police force is focused on public safety, not using them to handle everything else in the world, like traffic stops, noise complaints, mental health concerns. I'm just going to focus our police on public safety, but I'm also going to put a lot of resources into preventing crime, getting people help with jobs, with housing, mental health, or addiction. These are the ways that we prevent crime, but also by fixing our schools, making sure we have more affordable housing. Those are the underlying issues. So as mayor, what you're going to see is a level of seriousness and urgency in addressing the underlying issues and preventing crime, but also a thorough plan for how we respond when crimes that actually happen. I want people to feel safe in our city, but most importantly, I want people to be safe. Our economy, the first thing I'm going to do is help people get jobs. I've developed a jobs guarantee program surrounded around climate jobs because people who want to work should be able to work. Even if we have to start them in apprenticeship programs and allow them to grow in their careers, we have to do that. But we also have to be much better about supporting our small local businesses. These are folks who are struggling day to day, month to month, to make ends meet, to make payroll, to keep the lights on. We have an entity in DC paid for with tax dollars that attracts businesses to come to DC, that says to large businesses, hey, we want you to come here. What I'm going to create as mayor is an agency that serves businesses that are already here. So businesses that want to grow, businesses that are struggling, businesses that want city contracts, we're going to help them. We have to make sure our local businesses are successful because they are employing people. They are putting money in our economy. The other thing I'm going to do is what I've done as a council member, help local businesses buy their buildings. We're seeing displacement of a lot of local businesses because their rent is going up or their landlords are pushing them out. I'm going to help our local businesses buy their own buildings so that they can stay in the city. I've done a lot of work. I've been a national leader on early childhood education. I'm going to carry that into the mayor's office where I plan to implement universal child care so that parents can go back to work, so that their kids can get education during the most important years of their life, the most important years for brain development, but also support our early educators who are predominantly women but are underpaid. Our early childhood educators make on average just above minimum wage. So we're going to support parents so they can go back to work. We're going to support our existing early childhood education workforce by making sure they are paid wages that allows them to support their families as well. Even if you can't vote, this election is going to impact you. And so make sure you spread the word to people you know who do vote DC. Encourage them to look at the candidates and ask who's going to support our immigrant community, who's going to support our Ethiopian community, our small businesses, our schools, who's going to keep us safe and keep our families safe. What I think you'll find is that that person will be me. There's going to be a new day in DC. There's going to be a high level of excitement. And so even if you can't vote, you can help push us in that direction. My campaign has a lot of endorsements, but the most important endorsement is the one from people that other people know. So if you tell them, hey, I've heard from Robert, I've listened to Robert, and I believe in this guy, spread the word because it's going to make the difference in this campaign. I've seen a lot of my own family, most of my own family, priced out of the city. I talk to people every day who are struggling to make ends meet, who are afraid of being evicted, with them and their families becoming homelessness. My focus as mayor is going to be on preventing homelessness. That means we're going to be assisting people who can't make their rent because it costs us less to prevent people from losing their homes than it does to try to respond after people become homeless. So we're going to expand our rent subsidy program. We're going to stand up to slumlords to make sure that anybody trying to force people to live in bad conditions faces the consequences of our government. But you're also going to have an empathetic leader who understands the struggles of everyday people during a very difficult time like this. Our current mayor is out of touch with everyday people's struggles. As I'm fighting for assistance for our immigrant communities, our current mayor is saying, no, don't give them assistance. Go tell them to get a job. That's not the right response. People are working hard to meet its need. A lot of people are working multiple jobs and they still can't pay their rent. That is not something that should be true in our city. And when that happens, our government has to step in and help them. A couple things that we're going to do. As a council member, I have funded language translation to make sure people can access government services and have interpretation where necessary. But I also want to reform the mayor's office of community affairs, which right now is really a collection of agencies that should be deep in our communities, understanding the troubles and making sure we're getting resources to fix them. So we have an office on African affairs. We need to make sure that office is in touch with the African community in our city, that is hearing that we need more language translation, more accessibility in making that happen. So you're going to see a focus on our Office of Community Affairs to make sure they are listening to you and getting the things that you need back to me as mayor. In closing, I would just say that this is an important election, and as mayor, what you will see from me is somebody who is accessible, somebody who is listening to you, but also somebody who is working to solve problems. We have a lot of money in this city. Our budget is about $20 billion. We have the resources to fix things, but we need a more disciplined, more focused government. We need a mayor who is reachable and who understands what is happening to everyday people in this city. That is where I come in. This is the right time for a mayor who has my background, who has worked all across government, federal and local government, and who understands what we can do in this important moment. So I'm asking for your vote, and if you don't vote, I'm asking that you spread the word. It's so important. I want to say that now. Thank you.